Images of the year-long miners' strike, the most bitter, most expensive industrial dispute in British history. It exploded onto our television screens 5 years ago in the spring of 1984. Every night, news bulletins relayed the pictures of violence from the picket lines of Yorkshire. The strike turned miner against miner and caused deep rifts in the relationship between the police and the mining communities. At issue was British Coal's plan to close uneconomic pits. In its wake, the dispute brought poverty to thousands. Many families were torn apart by the strain. Others found themselves united by the cause. The scenes of violence and terror will take a long time to be forgotten. This is not a history of that year, but a look at what's happened to the people at the centre of the dispute, 5 years on. Are feelings just as deep, just as bitter, or are the wounds now beginning to heal?
From this Friday, not Friday morning, Friday night shift, we'll be implementing the 81 ballot result, and our members in Yorkshire will be on strike.
5th of March 1984, and the start of it all. The Yorkshire miners rallied to the cause, but then no one knew how many hardships lay ahead.
I didn't think, I'll be honest, that it was going to escalate, and I certainly didn't think it would last a year. I thought that other areas would rally round, and our collective strength would make British Coal think again. I was proved wrong.
Cortonwood Colliery in Yorkshire became the symbol of the dispute. It was the news of its closure which turned a national overtime ban into all-out strike action.
Our resolve is there, and we shall continue until we win.
Mick Carter was the voice of the Cortonwood miners throughout the strike. His rhetoric was as strong as his resolve. The closure plans had come as a terrible blow.
Me, I was pig sick. I came home and I cried. It hit me, it was just like somebody coming and smacking me straight between the eyes. It was just a shot out of the blue.
Now Cortonwood has gone, and Mick Carter and the other men have been moved to nearby pits.
All we've got now is a veritable desert. There's no gold in them there hills anymore. There's a hell of a lot of bitterness, and I don't think that'll ever go away. Not in this generation, anyway. Because the attitude, the general attitude now that prevails inside pits now, you know, with management, etc., is diabolical. There's no trust, not from our side, anyway. And the general feeling now that I seem to get from the pit I work at, anyway, is that, you know, it's a case of bugger you, Jack. Get what you can. You know, look after yourself today because tomorrow's not forced to be here.
As the strike drew on, Yorkshireman Michael Eaton was appointed main coal board spokesman by Ian McGregor. His brief to boost the board's flagging image.
These people, the miners I'd worked with all my life, I'd worked with the management all my life, and it was a tragedy, actually. And the feeling that I have is just of the tragedy of it all. The unreal thing that I'd spent all my life going to the mines or to the area in the morning to find out what output had been produced on the day before and what the position was. And then I found myself finding how many people we'd got at work, which was the first question. It was bizarre and unreal, actually.
Michael Eaton's long association with the coal board finished abruptly at the end of the strike. He now owns 4 anthracite mines in South Wales, making him Britain's biggest private producer of the smokeless fuel. But his business interests don't stop there. He's moved into the building trade and now owns the Radford Group, which is putting up luxury homes around South and West Yorkshire. It's a family business run by Michael Eaton and his sons. When he resigned from the coal board at the age of 51, he faced the daunting prospect of finding a new career for himself. In the 4 years since the strike, his life has found a whole new direction.
Perhaps this is the most exciting part of my life, actually. When I left the coal board, We had a turnover of about 100,000, 6 workmen and a dog. And this year the turnover will be £12 million. And we're employing from 6 men and a dog upwards of 300 people inside the building group. It's personally such a different life. It is making me very happy. And I look forward really to every new day. I've got a very, very strong feeling for the coal industry, having spent so many years, obviously. It's a great part of my life. Whilst I feel sad that it's had to be trimmed in size, I think that my overall feeling is one of excitement for it, actually, in what it can generate in the future. And after all, I am, although only that much, I am part of the coal industry as well. So I desperately want its prosperity, but I think it's there to be had.
Now, I've got to ask you this, Mr. Eaton. Why did you leave the coal board?
Well, at the end of the miners' dispute, and I think that Mr. McGregor, Sir Ian McGregor, and I really did not get on very well, and I thought that I'd really got more constructive things to do with my life, so I left.
Throughout the strike, the miners' wives demonstrated their commitment. Some say the women fought longest and hardest as poverty became a way of life for their families. They formed the protest groups, Women Against Pit Closures, and kept their communities going by running soup kitchens. At the end, many went on to find a new cause to fight for.
We were all involved in either food parcels, soup kitchens, or finding clothing, or going out trying to raise funds for various people that were poorer even than some of, you know, even amongst the kitchens and the groups, there were some that didn't seem to be able to raise as much as others. And that's how we came to be. And then when the strike did end, we knew that from the people that we'd met, that there was a lot more out there in the world.
Since the strike, the community of Castleford has been badly hit by pit closures. 3 of the 4 collieries surrounding the town have gone. The women who had worked so hard during the dispute banded together again to form a community centre. It now offers a range of special educational courses for women from the depressed area.
My education started with the Women's Centre after the strike. Colleges sometimes can put you off for women like me, women who haven't had a good education and who are too frightened to go into a college. I think even they're frightened to come in here at first, but as soon as they meet us and realise we're not, I don't know, you know, we ask them if they want a cup of tea and we show them round, and it gives them confidence.
It's the very informal and friendly way that people are greeted on their first step through that front door, and that makes such a big difference to how people respond to what you have on offer. And usually when someone joins one thing, they come in most every day, just something or other. And the main thing here is the free childcare, because for women that's a must. It has to be. And with being on the town centre, we fit into a woman's daily routine. It's the kind of education or information that people know that they're going to have to ever be able to achieve being able to get a job. Because all this technology is into our lives, so much so that when women have left work to have children, maybe 5 or 6 years later when they go back to work, their skills are almost obsolete. They've got to learn new ones to be able to get back into the field. We are about to write a book about the centre here. And we've asked different people who use the centre how they came to join us and what good they think they get from coming here. And one lady in particular, she said, well, you know, you can't buy a good belly laugh, but at the Women's Centre they give them away. So that, we think, is leading up to what we've always said, that the sunshine and the light It comes from here.
Perhaps the most bitter hostilities erupted during the drift back to work. Miners began to break the strike, in ones and twos at first, then in droves. The men who stayed out saw the strikebreakers' actions as the ultimate betrayal. Close communities were split apart, and the men who returned were given police protection. They and their families suffer still. No one wants to be identified.
The people around us, quite a lot of them snubbed us, shouted abuse, and they stopped talking to us, of course. And we just lost quite a lot of friends through it. It was a very trying time because the windows were being smashed, and I believe that I am a Christian, and I believe that it was my faith in God that kept me going and the rest of my family, and through the church family praying for me and my prayers. I think if it hadn't been for that, I don't think we'd have managed to live through all what we did live through. The experiences do still stay in my mind. I can sit at home on my own and I can still hear the windows being smashed, the bricks being thrown through the windows. It's a nightmare, actually. It frightens you. I am a stronger person. I think you can tolerate things better. You've a bit more patience. You can cope with things. I mean, surely there's nothing else they can do. I do forgive people for what they did to us. Yeah, I do, yes. In fact, I feel very sorry for the way that they carried on, and I grieve for them even now. When the passers-by, there's still some on the street where we live don't talk, and it does hurt, but you grieve for them. I don't hate them, no, I feel sorry.
I have mixed feelings. Sometimes I try to understand why they went back. And then I get bitter because I now see that what she's doing to us now is because they give in. I can take you to a village a mile from here, and as you go over the hill, you see what you don't see, if you know what I mean. Where the pit was, it's just flat. You look across the road and all houses are boarded up. It's as though a pit were never there. And I think what's happening to us now, soon there won't be other pits, and it's because them men give in.
Well, they all did it for their own individual reasons, but I'll never believe that their problems were any greater than the rest of us who stayed with it to the end. And if they'd had or been able to foresee that by sticking together, unity was the thing, and divided, that's where the disaster came.
I mean, I know a lot of good trade unionists who went back to work very, very late in the day out of pure hardship. And I don't believe that I'm in a position to criticise anybody who went back to work out of hardship. You
know, we had traitors in wartime. You don't forgive them. You don't forgive Nazis or whatever. Why should I forgive somebody that to me, I see as being a traitor to my cause?
The lack of collectivism defeated us, and I'm talking about miners in other areas who wouldn't support dispute. Now, it's come to light since that they are among the sufferers as well as us.
In Nottinghamshire, most miners stayed at work throughout the dispute. At the NUM May Day rally of 1984, striking and working miners confronted each other. The rift between them widened and was never healed. A breakaway seemed inevitable, and the Union of Democratic Mine Workers was formed.
The office was occupied by maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people, and there was a similar number outside, and they were all strikers. And just down the road here, 20 yard away, 30 yard at the most, there was about 15,000 of my supporters. So I had the experience of standing among 10,000 strikers addressing 13,000 workers, and to walk through that large group of people on my own, you know, demonstrated to me that I wasn't a coward. I won't say I wasn't frightened, because I was, but I walked forward, I didn't walk away. All it wanted for the National Union of Mine Workers to do was follow its own rule book, call a ballot, and I believe that the majority of the Notts miners would have gone along with the call. Obviously, if you've any feeling at all, you analyse yourself and find out, did you do the right thing at that time? And as I say, I woke up I've not gone to sleep some nights at all, just thinking about it, and especially if there's a known situation cropping up the next day. You know there's going to be a demonstration, or you know you're going to go to an NUM conference where you're in the minority was a long way. You worry about it. And I've worried, I've thought, and I've looked. Did you do the right thing? And I keep coming back to the same answer. I did the right thing, and I did the only thing that was open to any democratic leader of any union.
Every day, thousands of police patrolled the picket lines of Yorkshire. They came from all over the country. Many returned home injured after violent clashes with strikers. The dispute saw a new way of policing, never seen before in mainland Britain.
The difference is basically were that we worked in large groups, 20 or so as a unit. Therefore, some of our individuality was taken away from us. That's the basic difference. Obviously, when you police in groups, it does increase the confidence levels, and going back to normal policing afterwards, you have to get used again to working on your own, and that took some getting used to. I think the most vivid part of it had to be the Orgreave confrontation, when thousands upon thousands of demonstrators faced ranks of thousands of policemen. I had the unfortunate responsibility of being on the front row at that particular incident, and I think the most frightening part about it was the pressure on the front ranks of not only the policemen but also of the miners.
Stephen Smith is now based in the operations room in Sheffield. He believes that news coverage of the strike has left its mark on the relationship between the police and public.
I think perhaps it's broken down an invisible barrier between the public and the police, in that prior to the dispute, the police were, if you like, on a platform away from assault and confrontation. With the media coverage of the dispute, the pictures that were seen on the television have destroyed that image. And now I feel that the police are more vulnerable as a result.
Monday, June the 18th, saw the worst and the last day of violence at Orgreave, the British Steel coking works near Sheffield. Television pictures of the disturbances were shown around the world. 10,000 pickets had arrived to stop the coke lorries entering and leaving the plant. They were faced by 3,500 policemen. There were 93 arrests and heavy casualties on both sides. For two Yorkshire miners, it's a day that'll never be forgotten.
I don't know how it affected me in where people recognise me. I mean, there was some who would come up like and say, well, you were at Orgreave, weren't it? But I know one of my best friends, he was working in Spain, and he saw it. I know he saw it on television there, and with relations in Ireland, they saw it. So it was, you know, it was seen all over, obviously. But it has affected me later. Sometimes it used to get a bit too much because people were saying, right, well, they were on telly at Orgreave, I saw you there, like, you saw you shouting at police and that. And it won't, I mean, it was a frightening experience, Orgreave, and some thought it was good because you'd been seen on television and you meant news sort of thing, and it wanted to all.
I just didn't like, you know, you had people coming up talking to you saying, you know, we saw you and we'll get them back, you know, kind of thing, and I didn't like it at all.
Still working at Houghton Main Pit near Barnsley, Wayne Lingard and Russ Broomhead are now coming to terms with the outcome of the strike.
Principle, what finest principle that you could ever strike for, because it won't for personal gain, it won't for greed, it won't for wages, it was just fighting for jobs and for communities at the end of the day, because we had to pay, I mean, our community would be totally different.
I suppose it were sad that it did get lost in end, but I think we found more, you know, fruits to that, like, what we didn't know, you know, like community spirit and how everybody pulled together. I think we found that, although our idea of strike were lost, you know, you found more and you got things back that way.
Things like that happen once a lifetime, if that. And if it come to it and it were a ballot and it were voted, I'd go into it again. But It'll not happen, because people can't give that up again. Before it strike, we wouldn't have accepted economic arguments on a pit closing. Now we do. And I think that even goes all the way through to national level. That has altered. We accept the economic arguments. And we don't want the pits to be kept open if they're losing a lot of money. What we say is the pits can make money and can be kept open and provide a service to the community and to the country.
I still think this, and I think it very strongly, that there is immense opportunities for coal, properly got, effectively got, with a very capable management and labour force, which the industry does have.
We've gone into an era where you have to make the best out of very difficult circumstances. And I do a lot of things that I would rather not do, because at the end of the road, it's not an ideal. We have to work towards what we want to do. And at the moment, we've got a lot of pit closures. We've got a lot of job losses. The union is weaker financially because contributions, we haven't got as many members. And I think that we should be considering our position perhaps in 5 years' time and trying to organise ourselves, in a sense, better for the future. And so I think that that is something that I would like to see. Before I retire, I would like to see the future better organised for our members.
The lads walked back with pride, there were no doubt about that. There were a lot of singing and chanting and one thing and another. I think deep down everybody wondering, oh, what are we going back to? And I think the fears were well grounded, as has proved in subsequent times. It's just absolute dereliction. Well, there's nothing to see, all gone. Bulldozed and bolted into wagons and away. There's nothing shows. There's very little sign that there were a pit there, apart from still the heap, the spoil heap. No other sign. There's 3 little mounds where shafts were, which has to be, you know, for settling, allowing it to settle, but that's it. See, I still don't believe in euthanasia, and that's how I saw the death of Corton Wood. It was taken before its time.